Birdie Brand's all-natural bug deterrent is the best in the game of golf. It keeps the bugs away while giving you a bit of focus for those tight moments as the match comes to a close. Tour-tested, tour-approved, the 1-ounce bottle fits in any golf bag or travel case. When the match is on the line and your focus and comfort are things you don't want to be thinking about out there on the course, use Birdie Brands to make sure that doesn't happen to you. Birdie Brands, game on, bugs gone. Get yours at birdiebrands.com today.
My side of the bag, I'm Drew Hinesley. He's Scotty Worldwide, and we're talking FedEx Cup playoffs, which start this week in Memphis, Tennessee.
Shout out to Memphis. It's going to be hot. 70 top 70 in. It's going to be hot. You are not there, even though you could have been, but you'll be at the next one over in Baltimore, Maryland, D.C. area in Caves Valley. But anything stand out about Memphis for you?
Yeah, it's hot. It is hotter. It is, yeah. Rory's not playing. The no staggered shots at the Tour Championship makes that a much easier decision.
Yes.
You know, back when last year when you could have started 2, 3, 4 shots behind the leader, not sure he'd have made that same decision. But now everybody starts fair and square, even par at the Tour Championship. So whether you're 2 or you're 30, you have the same chance to win theoretically, because you're starting on the same score. So not going to 100-something degree Memphis. If you're Rory, you've been enjoying a month. I think he just moved into his new house in England. So kind of enjoying that. Went to the Senior Open Championship at Sunningdale, which isn't too far from his house, as a spectator. So just kind of relaxing a little bit and maybe a little bit of a reset before a very important stretch for him, not just the FedEx Cup playoffs, but the Ryder Cup. He's the type player where he's now a Grand Slam champion. So now the only thing he can really do to enhance his legacy is to become a Seve-like Ryder Cup hero, right? I mean, that's really what he can do now.
Obviously one day he'll captain one or
correct.
2. But yeah, like to your point, he's not going to catch Jack. He's not going to catch Tiger in majors. He has the career Grand Slam. He has the scoring titles. He has the FedEx Cups. He has the Race to Dubai championships. The only thing he can do to just further his legacy is to be a Ryder Cup stalwart, maybe win 2 more. So yeah, I think he's gearing up. I think he'll probably, this one might mean the most to him of all of them, just because it's back on U.S. soil. And to win another one, I think, on U.S. soil would be huge for his career.
Well, and Whistling Straits was not a great result for the team.
Yeah. I mean, we have those images of him crying, right? After the match.
It really, again, I was not far away from that interview as it was being conducted, and I was shocked that he was showing that kind of emotion in that moment. But it just shows you how much it means.
Drew, let's go to what his words were in that interview. He said, "I didn't do enough for my team." So I think that kind of tells you the mindset that he's in. And if you remember back 2 years ago from Rome, how emotional he was charged up that week, because I think he understands what that means to him and how important it is to get these wins under his belt, to become an almost mythical character, the way that the Europeans look at Seve or, look at, Jose. So I think to be in that crown, he understands. If I miss Memphis, if I, whatever, right? It's like, it's fine.
Well, as for those who are in Memphis, the other 69 of the top 70 are there, all trying to improve their standing, save for Scotty Scheffler, who enters the playoffs at number 1 based on the strength of 2 major championships and, of course, other victories throughout the year. But 70 in Memphis, down to 50 in Baltimore, and then, of course, top 30. We'll tee it up at Eastlake, my home club in Atlanta, Georgia, in 2 weeks. Memphis, it is hotter on the golf course than it is on some of those grills making some of that barbecue chicken and ribs. It really is. I've caddied there where the PGA Tour said, hey, it's over 100 degrees. you don't have to wear this thin little mesh bib today. And you're like, gee, thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, I was actually concerned one day. It was so hot. I was concerned about parking on the asphalt in the black topped parking lot because I was afraid my tires were going to melt to the road. It was that hot. I was like, man, I think my tires might melt out here. I might not have a car when I get done with this round. It was so hot. But the golf course is really, really difficult. There's only a couple of par fives. It's 16's a par five, super gettable. And then that's really it. The back nine is really tough. 11, a bit of an island green, par three, kind of its signature hole. Like 11 and 12, water's in play and can really set the tone for your entire round. There's a creek on 15 that you really shouldn't hit into, but it does come into play to a back right pin. 18, obviously the lake's in play all the way up the left side, makes everybody go way out to the right towards the bunkers. And then, of course, the water's in play on the second shot. So, a lot on the line. Always this time of year really starts with the Wyndham. Last week is you're watching two boards. You're watching the leaderboard and you're watching the playoff board. Who's going to advance? You know, that 48 to 52 ranking is going to be very, very, it's going to fluctuate a lot on Sunday. And they're going to keep an eye on that, who gets a tee time in Baltimore. And we'll see. It's a tough week
Some
for
guys
everybody dealing with the heat.
some guys that just need a good week. You have Spieth that needs a good week. You have
Yep.
actually Bhatia that needs a good week. Tony Finau needs a good week. Kurt
Yep.
Kayama needs a good week. Jake Knapp needs a good week. Also,
Well, and a lot of these guys, they don't just need good weeks to get into BMW, but they're also in Ryder Cup contention.
Oh yeah.
Guys like Tony Finau, you know, these guys, I mean, they would love to be on the
Akshay.
team. And Akshay, Tony even told Keegan, they asked Tony, you know, last week, what, you know, have you had any conversations with Keegan? And Tony said, well, if it ended this week, I told Keegan not to pick me. Like, Tony knows he hasn't done enough
Yeah.
to get himself on the team. And this is a guy who's played on Ryder Cups.
Yeah.
So it's a very refreshing bit of honesty from Tony, a guy who just made a caddy change, went
Yeah.
for Mark Urbanic, and that relationship ended. So we'll see if a new caddy gives him the spark he needs. A lot of caddy shakeup for some reason this summer. Maybe it's the reduced amount of cards given out from 125 down to 100.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, this extra added pressure, but there's been a lot of shakeup. You know, Morikawa, Max Homa gotten a lot of headlines for their changes, but a lot of guys, you know, Joel Damon and Gino breaking up. This show by caddies, for caddies, that's something we always pay attention to. So very interesting to see all the turnstile that's happening at that level right now. Kurt Kitayama and Tim Tucker splitting, and Kurt admitting that was not his decision. So very interesting there. Don't know where we'll see Tim Tucker next. Obviously, with his lengthy record of success with Bryson and Kurt, he could probably field a lot of different offers and just take the best one that comes along and lights his fire the most. But again, very interesting to see some of these guys in Ryder Cup contention. They're making some pretty drastic changes, like Tony.
Yeah, I didn't expect it. It looked like they had a really good relationship with Mark, but you know, these things come out of nowhere, and it is what it is. And like you said, there's added pressure this year, a Ryder Cup year. All these guys want to be on a team. All these guys want to make sure that they're visiting you at East Lake. So, yeah, I mean, just all the things that go into that, right? With the elevated events, get a shot at Sony and or not Sony, but the first Hawaii event now. If you make
Century.
Correct. Yeah. So huge incentives to make it to East Lake. And I think you always want to make your tour championship, right? Like, I mean, I'll be very candid. Me and Ingrid have talked about kind of resetting goals. And that's definitely one of the goals at the end of the year, to make sure we're in the top 60 so we can be at CME over in Naples. So it's just kind of bookends that you've made it that year, and that, you know, is a show of success, that you've been consistent enough, played enough good golf to be at the tour championship. So.
Well, it also, as you know, anytime you can get a level of certainty in this business, that's just kind of it takes a weight off your shoulders. You make it to the CME, you make it to the Tour Championship, you can set your schedule. You know where you're going to be for the next 12 months. And in our job, that's a very rare thing. Our job is very much up in the air most of the time. I got a text yesterday asking me if I wanted to spend the next 4 weeks starting Monday in Denmark on the DP World Tour. And I actually had to think about it.
Uh,
Again, I am scheduled to be in Baltimore and Atlanta with NBC the next 2 weeks. And there was a brief moment where I said, okay, how would all this work?
yeah,
If I took that job and
yeah,
I told these guys this, how mad would they be? Would I lose my job? I mean, you do those considerations, you do that calculation very quickly. My calculation was it wasn't economically worth it this late date. And also, I could have lost my job with NBC. So I was like, just not worth it. I enjoy a pretty cool spot with NBC. They're very good to me. So we're just going to stay the course with them and not take this flyer on the European tour.
yep,
But yesterday, I got offered 4 weeks in Europe and could have easily said yes to that. And my wife would have supported that, even though the school year is starting and I'm gone for the first 4 weeks of that.
yeah.
So our lives are very uncertain. And so to provide some certainty by getting to the Tour Championship, even the top 50 that make it into the BMW next week, they all know that they're going to be in every single signature event. So you can go ahead and start setting your schedule around those on the PGA Tour.
Speaking
There's
of the
8 of those.
Speaking of the BMW, going to a place where we've been before, but probably not super familiar with a lot of casual golf fans, Caves Valley outside of Baltimore. You'll be on site. Anything stand out from there that people could watch on TV if coming up?
I'm not sure if everybody remembers, but it was Bryson versus Cantlay 6-hole playoff.
Correct.
And I'm not sure if everybody remembers, but I was in the, let's go back 11th. I was in the 14th fairway. And I was standing about 10 yards to the right of Bryson. He's getting ready to hit his second shot into the green. Cantlay had already played into the green. It was about 25 yards, maybe 30 yards left of Bryson, and just kind of continued to walk up the fairway. And as Bryson has turned his back to Patrick, but Patrick is now getting so far up the fairway that as Bryson looks up, that last little look at the flag, he sees Cantlay in his periphery. And he backs off and says, Patrick, can you stop walking, please? And it was just a very rare thing that, you know, again, maybe you back off and you give the guy an eyeball, but you don't publicly out him to the broadcast and to the fans. There's a lot of that in pro golf where you just kind of, you know,
Yeah.
maybe give him a little nod. Hey, easy. But to do that, they were contending for the win. They would go into a playoff. It was very heated, a lot of intensity. And what many people may not remember, it was actually so intense. And I know it's hard for some people to get their brains around this now, especially folks that are just new to the game the last couple of years. There was so much vitriol towards Bryson,
Yeah.
not just that week, but it kind of been leading up for a while. A lot of bad headlines.
Yeah.
He was kind of becoming the villain of golf. There was so much vitriol. There were people throwing throwing cups of beer at the group as we were in the playoff. There was so much vitriol towards Bryson. The PGA Tour commissioner came out the following day and said anybody that heckles Bryson at the Tour Championship will be removed from the property. People may forget that, but all that happened at Caves Valley. 6-hole playoff, Bryson becoming the Black Cape villain of the PGA Tour. Pat Cantlay, with all his hat antics at the Ryder Cup, was still kind of the golden child of the PGA Tour. That's changed a little bit as well with his opinion on whether he should get paid to play team events. Whether that's manufactured or not, it's out there, and people feel a certain way about that. So, again, lots changed in the world since we were last at Caves. I believe it was only like 4 years ago. It was 2021. It wasn't that long ago, but man, is the world different. There was no such thing as the Live Tour. It was, you know, everybody was out there. But Cantlay with Matt Minister, our buddy on the bag, ended up prevailing there. So Matt Minister is the defending caddy champion at Caves Valley, even though he's on a new loop with JT. So that was Caves Valley last time around. I remember it was hot as blazes. If you've ever been to Caves Valley, the name tells you a lot. It is basically two different valleys. The front nine goes down one side of this mountain, the back nine goes down the other side. And even on a windy day, the wind just kind of goes over the treetops. And down in those valleys, it becomes sweltering in the second, third week of August. I mean, it is warm. So if we don't get bailed out by a couple of thunderstorms, it's going to be a hot week in Baltimore next week.
I think a Georgia boy will feel right at home.
Oh, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'll survive. It's the fans. I mean, that's a tough walk.
Okay,
It's a really hard walk for the fans.
so
Like
you're gonna
18 is straight up a hill. It's tough.
have you looked at the forecast and thought about your all black outfit already?
Well, I mean, I wear the same thing no matter what,
Correct.
just
That's
because
what I'm
that's my
asking.
thing. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm more worried about it in Atlanta at the Tour Championship than I am in Baltimore because last year at the Tour Championship it was warm all 4 days, very warm.
All
But
right.
that's what I wear. That's my thing, and the reason I wear all black is I want to be a stagehand, and that's what I am. So, you know,
You
I'll
talk
keep
about
my
your stagehand,
uniform.
but I feel like some of these stories you're pretty involved.
Well, I don't. I
I mean,
try not to
you
be.
almost killed Mark Cairns after JJ made that putt.
Easy with that. My bosses are probably still not happy about that I was that close to the action. But I sent Mark a text on Saturday night once I heard my assignment and I knew we were going to be walking with JJ and Victor. And I said, buddy, if you win this thing tomorrow, I'm tackling you on that 18th green. Well, when the putt went in, I was on the right side of the green where you exit to the clubhouse, which is where I also exit. And they were obviously back left corner of the green. And it took so much self-restraint not to run across that green before Victor putted. I snaked my way around all the cameras and tried to stay out of the cameras. And obviously didn't do a good enough job of that, but I tried to stay out of the cameras to give Mark a hug. And Mark was actually, I was on the phone with him the other day and he was telling me that he's got like this rib cage injury.
Oh.
And all of a sudden the light bulb went off in his head. He goes, maybe that's from you at Oakmont. Maybe it's just some lingering thing. I'm like, easy. It's been like 5 weeks. You've been to Europe. He said he was doing pull-ups in the gym at Portrush, and that's when he pulled it. And I said, okay, it's Portrush. It's not me.
Yeah, he don't need to do that.
No, he's plenty fit. So, but anyway, back to Caves Valley, very hot. Going to be a tough walk for the fans and the players and caddies. Really, 16 is a tough straight uphill off the tee, par 5. 18's a tough walk. There's a couple of really tough uphill climbs on the front 9. There's a par 5 straight up the hill. Fun golf course though. Drivable, a couple of drivable par 4s, one on the front, one on the back. Par 5s that are gettable.
And
so I think we had Bryson on 59 watch at Caves Valley, maybe second round back in 2021. So you could put up a number there. So it'll be fun.
yeah, especially if it is soft, right? And we do get a thunderstorm or two.
Yeah. And again, it's the Eastern Seaboard. And if the weather that's been hitting Atlanta this week's been riding up the Eastern Seaboard, it's going to be pretty soft up there in Baltimore because we've been getting killed in Atlanta this week. I mean, inches of rain for the last 36 hours been falling, maybe even longer, maybe 48, 60 hours, just nothing but rain, which is awesome because the powers that be have told me at East Lake that the PGA Tours would like to have a single digit under par champion at East Lake. Keep in mind, last year the winner was 23 under par, or not the winner, low scorer Colin Morikawa. Because of the staggered start, low score wasn't the winner, but Morikawa shot 23 under last year. So they want to reverse that by at least 14 shots. So one of the ways they're going to do that, the 14th hole was a par 5 last year. It played as a par 4, basically its whole existence in the Tour Championship. So that will be returned to a par 4. So there's 4 shots to par there. None of the back tees were used on the par 3s because the greens were so firm. The greens are a bit softer. So we'll see, 262 to the front on one par 3. The Island Green 15th will play as much as 226 yards, which is 80 yards longer than the 17th at Sawgrass. And I saw the superintendent late last week fertilizing certain areas along the fairways of the rough. And now we've had 36, 48 hours straight of rain. So the other thing is for probably 10 to 15 years, the PGA Tour wanted the rough height at 2.25 inches. I've heard that the PGA Tour wants it at least 3.25 this year.
Whoa.
So you're going to have a uniform across the property 1 inch higher Bermuda rough. So if you hit it off the fairway, it's going to be very, very difficult to control your ball. Last year, the new greens played somewhat of that, played a role in not being able to hold the greens out of the rough. This year, the rough will do its own work trying to keep people off the greens. But I remember last year, I was with Adam Scott's group on the 10th hole one day. He had 85 yards, but he was in the rough to a new green, hit a lob wedge, and didn't make it to the green. So Adam Scott can't get a lob wedge onto the green from 85 yards, and the rough's going to be an inch higher this year. So you may see a winning score closer to single digits than you saw last year. I don't know if you can get it all the way to 9
Yeah.
under because the top 30 are so darn good at golf.
Yeah.
But we'll see. That's what I've been told, and I've been told on my sources are good, and they're going to try. But again, you can only manipulate so much against the best in the world.
Correct.
So I think we'll see scoring in Memphis, scoring at the BMW, and they're going to try to reduce that at East Lake. Mother Nature's doing her job right now, letting that place grow. So
Drew, anybody like you think goes on a run, kind of like what Victor Hovland did a couple years ago, and kind of dominates the next 3 events to kind of cap the year? You see anybody kind of making a run in these last 3
I
weeks?
mean, I guess you could look at Scotty Scheffler and say, why not?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's a little bit crazy to think, but he made $18 million last week without putting a peg in the ground. He won the $10 million Comcast business, or maybe it was the $10 million FedEx Cup season-ending bonus, $8 million Comcast business bonus, whatever it was 18 million in total. Yeah, a lot of money. Yeah, and the guy that Scotty and Rory, rightfully so, get a lot of headlines. The one guy that very few people are going to talk about that I think has every chance to make a run is Sepp Straka. He's third in the standings, but somewhat of a forgotten guy. He won early this year, played super consistent. I think he won twice. He won Palm Springs, and then he won the Truist in Philly. So won a signature event, won a regular tour event, but played super steady the rest of the year. So third. Russell Henley is fourth in the FedEx Cup standings. He has the course record at East Lake. He shot 9 under 62 last year when par was 71. Chipped in for eagle on 18 on Sunday to do it. So obviously he can go low and get hot. I don't know. I mean, I know a guy that needs to get hot to make the Ryder Cup is Ben Griffin.
Yeah.
He's 6th in the points. Back in May when he wins Colonial and he's on this run, you're like, man, this guy, what a year.
Yeah.
I'm obviously biased to JJ Spawn with Mark.
Yeah.
Another guy that really needs to make a run that did not play good last week was Andrew Novak. Played with Captain Keegan Bradley, might have played his way off the team by missing the cut. Could certainly change that mindset. He's still 12th in the FedEx Cup, still right up there in the rankings, could still automatically qualify for the team if he gets on a run. So, you could see all of that. On the flip side, look at the European team, and you got a guy like Robert McIntyre. Could really, I mean, he could really save for a magical putt from JJ Spawn. If that ball doesn't hit the hole and goes 10 feet by and JJ 3 putts, then Robert McIntyre's in a playoff for the U.S. Open.
No doubt.
Again, a lot of things, were touch and go with the whole season. If JJ Spawn gets one more roll in regulation at the Players, he wins it outright. Rory doesn't win. Does Rory go on to win the Masters? I mean, all these things throughout the year, you kind of start looking back and you look at it from that 30,000-foot view, and you're like, man, Robert McIntyre could be our U.S. Open champ. So he could go on a run. He's been playing great golf. So there's a lot of names you could throw out there. How
about this one? If Keegan has a good 3 weeks, does he solidify himself as a pick?
Yeah, I think he has to at this point. He's won this year, won a signature event at Travelers. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, again, and what is he, 10th in the standings? Yeah, he's 10th in the FedEx Cup standings. There's 24 guys that are going to tee it up at the Ryder Cup. I think only 2 of them come from Live. So there's 22 guys that are going to come from the PGA Tour.
Will be
They're going to
Rahm and Hatton, Bryson, 3.
There's 3 guys. Yeah, Rahm, Bryson, Hatton. So there's 19 guys from the PGA Tour that are going to play the Ryder Cup. Keegan's 10th in the standings.
Yeah.
I don't know how you could say you're not one of the 12 best
I
Americans.
agree with you, and I think Keegan has, as a captain, has a responsibility to his team, those 6. I don't think there's any way that JT, that JJ Spawn, that Scotty Scheffler are going to want someone else other than Keegan on that team. And I think they'll tell Keegan, "Hey, bud, you got to play."
Well, if I look outside the top 30 to move on to go back to your question, who could make a run? Right now, the 2 that jump out at me, 37th is Jason Day, who's done it before, won in these playoff events. And the other guy is 42 just because he had a slow start to the year, Xander Schauffele. So those are 2 guys.
I saw where Xander was, and I was going to say, if somehow he makes it to East Lake, you can never count him out at that ballpark. So
right. He loves East Lake, won it there his first time there. So, yeah. I would look at Xander and Jason to be the guys who play their way into the top 30 who are outside right now. Kitayama at 52 might be a bridge too far. Even Jordan Spieth at 48. I don't know if he has the form to jump 18 spots in the next 2 weeks.
It's hard.
So we'll see. I mean, he's basically going to have to go top 10 to go 9 spots this late in the year with so many points accrued by other guys to get to the Tour Championship, which I think would be difficult for him at this point. But we'll see. But that's my prediction. And as we know from a previous episode, those don't mean very much. So Memphis, Baltimore, Atlanta.
Guys that we're talking about East Lake week.
Could be. Yeah, but next 3 weeks, heat's going to be a big factor. Memphis, Baltimore, Atlanta. So we'll see who can handle the heat of Mother Nature and the heat of a $10 million first prize for winning the playoffs. Birdie Brand's all-natural bug deterrent is the best in the game of golf. It keeps the bugs away while giving you a bit of focus for those tight moments as the match comes to a close. Tour tested, tour approved. The 1-ounce bottle fits in any golf bag or travel case. When the match is on the line, your focus and comfort are things you don't want to be thinking about. Use Birdie Brands to make sure that doesn't happen. Birdie Brands, game on, bugs gone. Get yours at birdiebrands.com today.